Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're talking about the Palmaria. This was a vehicle that was added in Update Heavy Cavalry, and it's one of the ones I was really looking forward to, pretty much because I really like the OF40. If you haven't played the OF40 in the Italian tech tree, I would highly recommend it. You can find it at 8.0, and then also there's the OF40 Mark IIA, which is at 9.0, and then of course the premium, the OF40 MTCA. All of these vehicles are just really fun medium tanks, and they have a lot of factors that make them enjoyable: good mobility, interesting armor, and then also the good old laser rangefinder too, helping out the gun. The Palmaria is a SPH version of the OF40, so it has the OF40 chassis, but it has a different turret and also a different gun. And this means that you still get some pretty good mobility out of the vehicle. It has a 750 horsepower engine. The transmission means that you can go forward pretty good, but the major thing that's really nice about this, especially for an SPH, is its reverse is fantastic. It's able to go backwards very quickly and actually accelerates very quickly going that way too. So once you've actually fired your shot, you can reverse and get out of there, which is something not a lot of SPHs are able to do. I kind of look at stuff which is in the similar part of the tech tree for Italy, like of course the 2S1, right? The Bodsdica. This one has a real problem with this, where once you shoot, you kind of just set there like a sour lemon. The M109 is kind of similar in terms of how it's set up too, but at least it's a little bit better than the Bodsdica. But the Palmaria is able to do what those guys do, but a lot better, and that's just because of the mobility of the chassis. The other part as well is you still have okay armor, like it's not fantastic, but I did actually have quite a few shells ricochet off it, mainly because there's quite a big hole in the front of the armor, so you can actually shoot this vehicle and it just won't do anything because there isn't a lot of actual stuff in it, and since the armor isn't crazy, sometimes it just doesn't set off the shells, so it can work in your favor, surprisingly enough. So the survivability of this vehicle is actually a bit more than some of the other SPHs which are in the category. Another thing to also mention about this vehicle is the turret itself is 360, and that means that you're able to kind of angle it however you want, which is a huge improvement over a lot of SPHs which actually are stuck in certain areas. So you have to kind of angle them in a specific way. With the Palmaria, you don't really have to do that, and I think that's really awesome. You can kind of figure out how you want to angle it, and it just gives you a bit of extra survivability, but it also means that you can hide a lot of your chassis while also still using your gun. Now, the Palmaria itself, it has this 155mm M41 FH70 cannon. This is pretty similar to a lot of the other kind of NATO-esque cannons that you'll find out there, but there is a slight difference. It has the M107 shell as the stock round. It also has the M107 PF. This is the VT shell. You should always use this if you want to use the M107 because you can change its fuse from impact to also proximity, which means that you can go after planes with it, or you can go after ground targets. It means that it has a good multi-role ability without losing anything to the standard M107. But the key round to the Palmaria is actually the P3. Now, the P3 is just a big old donkey 155 round, and I don't think any other vehicle has this. There's vehicles that have similar ones to it, but this one is just nuts. So the M107 round, which is the standard round for all 155s, it has 9.14 kilos of TNT equivalent and is fired at 827 meters per second, which is pretty fast for an artillery. That's actually really nice for the Palmaria. But this P3, it has exactly the same muzzle velocity, so you don't have to worry about, adjusting your aim between the two rounds. But it also has 15.33 kilos of TNT equivalent. It has a nuts amount of TNT equivalent. I don't think there is a single SPH around this BR that has anything even close to 15 kilos. The one that I remember is the L15A2 on the AS90, which has a 14.8 kilos on it, but also a lower muzzle velocity. So this Palmaria just has like a mega round, which is really fun. And because it has that additional TNT equivalent, it actually means that you can overpressure targets way easier with it compared to dealing with other vehicles. And I think that's actually really nice for the Palmaria itself. So it just gives you that kind of extra string to your bow that other SPHs don't get around this BR, and it means against a lot of the heavies that you fight, whether it's the Tiger 2s, whether it's the T-34s. I even ended up seeing an E100 in one of the games that I actually was using this thing, and what ends up happening is, of course, you know, you have to try and find interesting ways of dealing with them. But with the mega round, it just makes it a little bit easier because you can kind of screw up your shot a little bit and you'll still be able to overpressure the vehicle, which is great. The vehicle also has some secondary factors that other SPHs don't have. It has smoke grenades, and they don't have to land to go off. So they're kind of like the more modern-esque smoke grenades. And this means that it's so easy to like shoot, and then if you cock up a shot or if something goes wrong, you can smoke and you can reverse fast and you can reset, which is really, really nice. You also have the FN Mag 6040 machine gun, which can knock down, you know, little fences, little bushes, so therefore your rounds could always hit. And that is a huge thing as well for the vehicle. And you have the 10-second reload. It's an auto-loaded gun, by the way, so you don't have to worry about your crew in that respect, so that helps a lot. Even though you have 2 loaders in the vehicle, they're basically just there as extra crew members and to also load the kind of first stage ammo stowage at the back. But you shouldn't bring a ton of rounds in this. Since you get the ammo box, you can get away with like 15 rounds, but everything else about it is quite nice. I was running about 10 or 15 of the P3 rounds, and then I was running about 5 of the VT rounds, and that was working pretty well for me. And if I ever kind of started running out, I would just plonk down the ammo box and then everything would be good. I will say one of the issues with using multiple rounds on this thing, since of course it's a 10-second reload, it can be a little bit annoying because, you know, if you see a plane coming in and you've got the P3 loaded, then, you know, what do? Well, you got to shoot it and then load the VT. But that's kind of a problem with all these types of vehicles. I would like it in game, and I've said this for quite a long time. I'd like a control where I could actually, instead of it just automatically loading a round, I could actually choose to load the round. So basically, once you fire the gun, you then have to press a button in order to load that specific round. So it would be like whatever the button is attached to the round itself. That would help something like the Palmaria, just so you don't have to wait that additional reload time to be able to get the gun going again. And I think that would be kind of nice, but it's a small issue because, you know, the planes of this BR are not crazy fast. You can see them from quite a while away, and if you're paying attention, you know, it's not too bad. The lineup for this vehicle is a little bit circumspect, I'm not going to lie. At 6.7, you have some really good light tanks for Italy. If you like light tanks, Italy is the nation for you. They have a fantastic line of light tanks on the left-hand side, and also in their kind of weird kind of ATGM tank destroyer line, they have a bunch of really cool light tanks at the top tier as well. But you have the M26, which is one of the weaker, if not the weakest 6.7s in the game. I mean, it's okay, it's just it gets bullied by all the heavies, which is the problem. That's why I prefer to actually take the light tanks, because they have more punch behind them, so you can actually pen the heavies. You also have stuff like the R3, which is pretty nice, and then, you know, the M109. For planes, you have the Reggianis, you know, the 2005, which in general I would say is a pretty good plane. They gave it bombs, and then also it's a very good dogfighter. You can also, I suppose, bring along the MB326B if you have the premium one, but that one's pretty pricey, and I don't think I would ever buy it, but at least that's an option, I suppose. So the lineup is okay, it's fine, and I can actually see this thing going up in BR personally, but I also said that about the AS90, and it hasn't moved up yet, so I suppose we'll see what goes on. But I had a fantastic time in this. It was super fun. And the SPHs, you know, in the game, there is quite a lot of them that I have struggled with in the past, but this one just wasn't them. It took 13 battles to spade it, which was not a lot of battles, 62% win rate, and we ended up getting 52 ground kills, 9 air kills, and 13 deaths. So we were dying pretty much every game. I did use a few universal backups, so 18 respawns, but at the end of the day, that's 61 kills to 13 deaths. And for an SPH with a pretty decent backup with the lineup, I feel like that's a very good return. And I'm very happy that I actually played this thing. It was one of the ones I was looking forward to for the update, and, well, it has satisfied me. I'm very happy that they finally added it. Hopefully we can get the Marder version or the Argentinian version in the game too, maybe in the German tech tree or somewhere like that. That would be awesome to see as well, and would be really nice. Let me know what you think about the Palmaria, and also just like the Italian tree in general. I think it's super undervalued in the game. I have a really good time with it, so hopefully others do too. Look after yourselves, peace be with you. I'll see you next time.